Welcome, everyone, to today's meeting of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Let's begin our program today with Rotary Y and Pledge from DJ Morrow Ingram, guest introductions from Shayna Vollmer, and new member introductions from past President Chuck Wilson.
Actually, Mr. President, I'm doing the invocation, so let us pray. Heavenly Father, as the calendar turns and we begin another new Rotary year, let us be thankful for Rotary friends and the changes our service can bring. We have new plans, new dreams, new goals, and new hopes for this new year in Rotary. With your help and guidance, let us rise to the challenges that we are given. Let us aim to give more to the cause. Let us be a gift to our club and our community and continue to make the world a better place, even if no one gives us applause. In the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And they all said, amen.
Please join me in another beautiful prayer set to music, composed by the great Irving Berlin in 1938. We still need God's blessing today. God bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. And please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. I get the privilege to introduce our guests today and some visiting Rotarians. I have 3 guests, so if I'll ask the guests as I call your name and the host Rotarian to stand up, and if you'll hold your applause till the end. We have Joel Cousins as our guest, and the host Rotarian is Grant Cousins. You guys will stand. We have Jeff Martin. He's a guest of our speaker today, Scott Stulen. Mike Haney. He is a guest of John Woodworth. If we can give them a round of applause for joining us today. Thank you, guys. We also have 2 visiting Rotarians with us today, so if you'll do me a favor, I'm going to announce the first one, and on the count of 3, we're going to say hello to her all together. So we have a Rotarian, Lauren Branch from Club 29 in OKC. Lauren, where are you? All right. There we go. You guys got this down. All right, the next one is Harlan Pinkerton from Sand Springs Rotary. Hi, Harlan. Thank you guys so much.
Well, as my granddaughter said not too long ago, this is the funnest part of what I get to do at Rotary, is to introduce you to our new members. We're so happy to have them both with us today. Cameron Greer was born and raised in Tulsa. He graduated from Bishop Kelly High School in 2018, then Oklahoma State University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a double minor in Marketing and Management. While at OSU, he participated in the Center for Sales and Service Excellence program. He is now a full-time commercial real estate agent with Daniels Greer Properties, LLC. A fun fact about Cameron, he used to train service dogs while he was in high school. So, and we'll welcome both of ours when I finish with the other introduction. Next, we have Chris Redding. Chris was born in Tulsa, moved to Florida when he was 8, and while in high school, competed at the state and the national level in weightlifting. So, Chris, you and I have something in common, the weightlifting. Just kidding. Graduated from the University of Tulsa with a Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering. While at TU, he served as president of the Student Ambassadors and Leadership Team. Also, he was chair of the Society of Hispanic Engineers. Chris is now working as a senior software engineer at QuickTrip. And on a part-time basis, he is a supplier and distributor of small custom goods for events, clubs, and campaigns. An active member of TIPROS, he has been involved with the business development and government relations crews. Chris sees Rotary as a perfect fit for his passion to serve others and promote our community. He was introduced to Rotary by Mary Beth Sawyer, and by the way, Barney James introduced Cameron to Rotary. Fun fact, he just bought his first house in Midtown. Will you please join me in welcoming these two fine young men?
Welcome, of course, to our new members. You've joined an international organization that is making a difference not only here in Tulsa, but around the globe. You've also joined us at a pretty terrific time. It's the beginning of our Rotary year, and committee sign-ups are occurring as we speak. I have found over the years that the best way to get to know the people in this room and the active members of our clubs are in small group settings, service activities, committees, and social events. So whatever interests you, I'm sure that you'll find a role with us right here in the Rotary Club of Tulsa. So wow, I'm still adjusting to these lights here, but I'm really excited to get going. Thankfully, after last week, from here on out, you get to hear from people in Tulsa who are far more interesting than me, and people who are doing great work here in our city. Our guest today is a friend of mine, and surely many of you have seen in the news that he was recently appointed to take over the museum, the Seattle Art Museum, one of the most prestigious facilities in the country. It's a big move, Scott, and we're thankful that you still have time to share with us all the work you've done at Philbrook and what we can expect from that gem of a facility going forward. First, I want to thank all Rotarians who volunteered their time at MSNI this past Saturday. MSNI is a service opportunity within our district, and it's located right here in Tulsa. It fits squarely within one of Rotary International's areas of focus, that is to treat and prevent disease worldwide. MSNI collects and delivers medical supplies to developing nations and other areas of need around the world. New opportunities to serve will arise throughout this year, and I hope that all of you, at one point or another, will consider helping in that initiative. As far as to circle back to committee signups, just a few minutes ago, before this meeting, Tina sent an email. It includes all of our committees and instructions on how to sign up. So when you get back to your desk, take a look, join a committee, and let's get working this year. There is also going to be sign-up sheets in the hallway as you leave. Now for our Rotarian of the day. Jesse Guardiola is the Vice President of Community Relations and Impact Tulsa area of the Tulsa Area United Way. Previously, he was Hispanic Outreach Director and Minority Workforce Expert for the Tulsa Police Department and President of a nationally recognized consulting firm. His research and expertise, focusing on Hispanic consumer development and workforce growth strategies, has been his passion. He has traveled extensively to places such as Switzerland, New York City, Washington, D.C. to discuss his research on minority recruitment and relationship building strategies. And over the year, he has acted as an advisor to city and state leaders and served on numerous boards. His current role with the Tulsa Area United Way fits squarely within his areas of interest. And for those of you who heard me speak last week, you'll know that Jesse is the reason you have to put up with me for the next year. Please welcome our Rotarian of the Day, Jesse Guardiola.
Thank you, Daniel. So I've had the privilege, I'm gonna put this right here. I've had the privilege to get to know Scott from 2018 until now. We became fast friends. Back then, I was giving, he asked me to come and give a presentation at Philbrook on how to grow a Hispanic diverse revenue stream, as well as to help him grow his attendance with the Hispanic community. And just to speak to his business acumen, he realized, well, why would I pay for consulting when I can just ask him to join a volunteer board? That's how it's done. And I jumped at the opportunity because I agreed with his vision and what he was trying to do with bringing more financially unstable families to Philbrook and showing them the beauty that Philbrook had at 27th and Rockford. And I had the privilege to serve on his board for 6 years. So he will be a great loss, but also his talent will be a great treasure for the city of Seattle. So let me just kind of go down what he has accomplished from 2016, and it's a lengthy list, so I'm going to read it because I want you guys to know just the savviness that this young man has and what he has done while here and making this city better. Since 2016, when he became the CEO of Philbrook, under his leadership, he turned it into a national model in sustainable and relevance and community impact. The museum had an annual operating budget of $9.5 million with a staff of 120. And during his tenure, he was able to make the museum more inclusive, making it more family-friendly experience for all families, and continued to grow the endowment. He secured $10 million of gift in support of the museum, and over the decades just established a financial endowment that will continue to sustain this museum going forward for many years. He grew it, let me see here, he overall saw the plan of a 50,000 square foot vegetation garden on Philbrook campus, which provided 1.5 tons of fresh fruit each year to support communities of need in Tulsa. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you don't really think about when you think of Philbrook and the vision that he saw and how do we make this museum extremely inclusive for all communities. So I'll end with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, because I see a lot in this and what he attempted at Philbrook, and that is to leave the world a better place and how you find it, either with a healthy child, a garden patch, just like I talked about, or a redeeming social condition, allowing teachers to come into the museum for free, giving that opportunity, which was huge. It was something that I was extremely proud of that you did. And to know that people's lives have breathed easier because you have lived. So thank you for what you did for the city of Tulsa. And we are, like I said, sad to see you go, but we appreciate that you left this city a better place. Scott Stulen.
I feel really lucky to be able to be up here with two good friends, both Jesse and Daniel, and be able to be, this is actually my official last, Philbrook duty to do this talk today. Daniel asked me to do this months before this Seattle opportunity came to pass, and I feel really honored to be here. And a certain bookend in a way. One of the very first presentations I gave in Tulsa when I first got here was actually to the Rotary. So this becomes kind of a little bit of a bookend. So I don't want to spend all this time kind of talking about kind of what's lost, but also really about what is the exciting things that are ahead for the museum. Daniel shared, we both play on these sandlot baseball teams in town, which you may have heard about. We had the opportunity to play, my team played after the Drillers game at One Oak here a few weeks ago, which was a lot of fun to be able to do it very hot. but it was a lot of fun. And they very kindly, a bunch of the teams came together and had a little video about our departure. And my kids were there, and afterwards they're like, "Did you die?" Because everything was in this, like, framed in a way where it was like this. I'm like, no. But it was very touching to be able to see that. As I was kind of thinking about the remarks today and talking about the museum, I think one of the things that really set it on is when you think about, like, time passing. So I've been at Philbrook for almost 8 years, and thinking about the things that have happened during that period of time, which I'll talk about here in a minute, and kind of what you arrive with. And I think the biggest thing is anytime you look back is to leave something better than you found it, and hopefully that I've done that. If you also think about time being passed. So during my announcement, when I was first announced at Philbrook, our youngest son was 18 months old, was teething at the time, had a complete meltdown during the middle of my remarks. So I went down and picked him up and held him through my remarks, which was in the paper the next day, and this photo. And then, so we recreated it last week with him, who is now 9, almost 10. But this is a good way of showing just time passing during a period of time that I think as adults sometimes you forget, but you see it through your children often. But a big part of things, too, is our family has been so connected to Tulsa, a place that we've truly embraced, a place that has been home for us and will continue to have so many friends here, and a place that we hope to come back and visit often, and a place that has done incredibly amazing, special things over the past decade. And I know that the future is incredibly bright for the city. So, enough about me reminiscing, but let's talk about museums for a minute. So first of all, I like showing this. Is like my philosophy for museums. I think for a lot of people, they think about, we're going to go to the art museum, and they're like, anything but. It's going to be this experience. Maybe I went back in elementary school and I saw it once, I don't need to see it again. Or like, please, is it going to be that boring that I need to go and do it? And I think this is one of the things, when I first came to Tulsa, one of the first things that is I met with people in the community. And I probably met with several people in this room. And I asked them what was the perception of Philbrook. And the perception across the board was positive. Loved having it here in the community. It's a cornerstone. It's been here for decades. All those positive things about it. And then the next question I asked, when's the last time you'd been there? And it was like, I think maybe 15 years ago at a wedding, or I went there 20 years ago with, my kids had camp or on a school field trip. But it wasn't something that was alive and part of people's lives. And my real philosophy about a museum, if you're just a place that holds a bunch of objects, you're basically a storage facility. It's about how do you connect those objects to people. Museums are about people. And at Philbrook, we've done that. I think that video shows a lot of just the overall vibe. We've created a place that is alive with people and kids and families and a variety of different activities that are happening. When I came in, we actually changed and went through a process to change the mission statement from one of those long mission statements that nobody but development can actually recite to something that we could fit on a t-shirt. That was the goal. And we came up with to make a created and connected community through art and gardens, really thinking again about how to connect people through these two assets of art and gardens. And simplifying that down is having these kind of values of creativity in all of its forms, not differentiating a painting from the wall from a kid doing a class there, from somebody doing yoga. All things are of value. Health and wellness, both physical health and mental health. Relevance, again, to really talk about things that matter to our community, not just things that are in the past, but things that feel relevant to now. And then being sustainable, which I think is also incredibly important. We cannot serve our community if we're not in financial status to be able to do so. To be sustainable and to be able to be sustainable for years to come going forward. So the shorthand I like to use for this is being welcoming and truly welcoming. Being smart, and smart and fun are not in conflict. They can be working at the same time. Be relevant, of course, and like I said, be fun. And I think that fun is such a good entry point for people to come in and have a great experience there and maybe be inspired and learn something at the same time. So the approach we've had at Philbrook is to be this museum for everyone, and not just a museum for people that always go to museums, or just a museum for people that maybe, you know, have a certain level of education or kind of live in an area of town, but be a museum that everybody feels welcome. And I can tell you, for museums, often there's a lot of barriers that get put up in places. And even thinking about Philbrook, it's in a very beautiful, wealthy part of town. It's got a big gate around a mansion that was there. For some people, those can become serious barriers. So how do you kind of lower those barriers, both real and perceived, for the museum? And do that through a diversity of programs, different types of things, from flower arranging classes to having Frida Kahlo exhibit there, to having a giant dirt pile, which we do have for kids to go dig in. When I came to the museum, there was a lot of things where you couldn't walk on the grass in certain areas, and now we give kids shovels to go dig it up. And be in service of our community. One of the things during my tenure was navigating the pandemic, and I'm so proud of my staff. The day after basically everything started, we sat down as a team and said, well, we're not throwing our mission out. So how are we going to think about ways that we can serve in this new reality? Think about things online, think about using outdoor spaces and be able to adapt, continue to be in service of our community. So how are we doing all of this? Well, one of the things we learned, particularly through the pandemic, is people want daily experiences. Not just to go to a place and say, if you didn't come at noon on a Saturday, too bad, that's the only time that program happens. But what are things that can happen on a daily basis? So that can look like things like fish feeding, or having different programs for kids in the gardens, things that get put out each week that we do. It also can look at really simple things. I mentioned, like, one of the big hits of the fall is called Giant Leaf Pile, which is a giant leaf pile with rakes, and kids pile it up and they can jump out in the garden into this, or digging in the dirt out there, and also having these high art experiences. Having things like maybe bubbles in the spring, or we put swings up throughout the gardens. A swing is a really simple thing, but a swing in an extraordinary place like Philbrook's garden is something else. We have to water the grass, so we had programs where kids could kind of run through the sprinklers while we water the grass. Easy program, right? Families became members because of Sprinkler Saturday, of just coming there to do this. And sometimes they'd come to Sprinkler Saturday, and then they'd go see a lecture on an artist the same day there, seeing that crossover happening. We opened now the museum on certain days to dogs in the gardens. And so if you don't know about this, it's a thing. Just look on the calendar, you can come out and bring your dog out in the gardens, and people have been incredibly well behaved. I know there have been a lot of concerns about it. It's been great. We've started programs like Little Garden Explorers. So we have programs now from 18 months all the way up to programs for people that are in their 80s, 90s, and up. So it's that whole range of life at the museum. And again, diversity of types of programs, different types of experiences, both indoor and out. And of course, having fun adult programs too. One of my things I think often in museums, you get all these cool programs until you're basically junior high, and then they stop. And then you get to come back when you're like an adult and all you get is lectures. That's kind of like what happens. How do we do fun programs for adults too? So things that can be experiences at the museum, films, thinking about, we just did a thing with silent disco with headphones out in the garden, things like that. And we started a program recently called Stay Gold, and this is basically a creative aging program, really focused on audience 55 plus. So they're making classes taught by artists, and they create a cohort, so they happen over 6 weeks. So you can go out there and you basically can meet friends and learn things like plein air painting, or maybe doing yoga, or doing journaling, or experimental music, whole sorts of different things. Again, thinking about that lifelong learning at the museum. We also do really unique events, and hopefully some of you have been to some of these events. But things like Festival, which is our kind of holiday light show that happens each year, that's become an annual tradition that people come out to, see the lights, maybe roast a s'more, and be out there with their family. We've expanded this over the years. This is also a big revenue driver for the museum as well. So this is one of those things that acts as a fundraiser for other programs, but also creates an amazing experience for the audience. Programs like Mix, this is our cocktail competition out in the garden with local bartenders. We have Lagerland we started, which is a beer festival that happens, that we have local breweries that are out, and again with bands attached to that. And now we've done 2 years of Art in Bloom. So this is taking floral designers in the galleries responding to the artwork. And we've had 3 days of sold out the museum for 3 straight days, each of the times we've done this, and this will become, again, an annual program. Having live music and performance at the museum, increasingly having that in the spaces that are there. And thinking about events with local artists. This is a drawing rally that we did at one of the local breweries, where local artists sat and drew, including myself. Some of you maybe know, but my background actually is as a visual artist, and that's what my master's is in painting and drawing. I'm still one of the very few museum directors in the country that comes from that background, and that's not a value judgment. I think it just gives me a slightly different approach to how I approach museums. And we did programs like this, and this is one that I believe, Jesse was part of kind of this process when we brought him in to do some of the training, was around this show. We had an exhibition of Chicano art that Cheech Marin, so Cheech and Chong has a large Chicano art collection. He actually has a museum he started in Riverside, California. We did a lowrider picnic. So we had lowrider cars out in front of Philbrook. We had 1,200 people picnicking on the lawn, and then we opened up the galleries for people to come in. This one always still resonates for me because I remember people coming up and saying, I didn't know I was allowed to come here because they didn't feel welcome. And to be able to do programs like this where we made people feel welcome, we invited them in, and then to be able to continue those relationships going forward. We did fun programs like Films on the Lawn, traditional program, but we turned it in more of an experience. This is the first one that we did when I came on board, and actually Jeff Martin's here was a big part of this too. We did Princess Bride, and we gave away a free wedding at Philbrook, which is kind of a big deal, but there's a catch. So they had to do it in character from the film, which they did, and had 1,400 people there watching their wedding, and they come back and celebrate their anniversary at the museum each year. We did a camp out with Moonrise Kingdom, and then camped out in the gardens. We did things like harvest dinners, so having people, this is a fundraiser again, but having like a 5-course meal out in the gardens themselves with a winery and having this out by the cabin. Of course, there's the Philbrook Wine Experience, which I'm proud that we've been able to grow in this past year, which is single-handedly the most stressful professional day of my career. Not only to have to be able to generate for this event, which we did, is $3.4 million, which is amazing, which we did for the event, but to do store in the middle of tornado warnings, it was fun. But we got there, we hit our goal, and everybody was safe. So it's you do an event in Oklahoma in the spring, that's what you get. But the other part of it is, of course, we're an art museum. So how do we leverage a dynamic collection and have those type of experiences at the museum? So one of the things is, early on in my tenure, is really looking at how can we add more things to the collection. Now, Philbrook had a rather small endowment for buying new art. It generated about $75,000 a year, which is not insignificant, but is not going to get you a lot for that. I went through a process, actually. There was a Chinese vase that we had in storage. It had only been shown once back in the early 1970s. Was gifted by the Tabor family back in the 1960s with no restrictions, just the betterment of the museum. Did not fit Philbrook's collection at all. So I brought in Christie's, the auction house, to assess that collection, including this piece. This particular vase is about this big, beautiful, also complete anomaly in the collection, and again, had not been on display. This had been appraised in the late 1980s for about $125,000. And there were some discussions with, if you know Marcia Manhart back there, had some discussions about whether they should de-accession or sell it then. But it held on to it. I brought in Christie's. The Asian art market had changed quite a bit since then. The new valuation was $10 to $12 million for this piece because the Asian market had opened up and a lot of pieces were being looked at for other museums there. So we made the decision with the board to go through the very complicated process of de-accessioning, selling this work, to create a fund to buy work that fit Philbrook's collection. So this went to Christie's to Hong Kong, and it was the centerpiece of the sale in 2018. I remember sitting at my kitchen table with a calculator figuring out the conversion between Hong Kong dollars and US dollars. And I had a line drawn there about where I would get fired and not fired on it. A couple board members in the room giving real-time updates of things, and it ended up going for about $17 million US, which is amazing. And even better, it went to a collector where it was going to find its way into a Beijing art museum with like objects, so it's going home. And so that's a win in that piece too. But what this did is overnight set up a fund of $15 million for Philbrook that we've now bought since then over $4 million of art. And the fund's been invested, so it's worth more than we started. So we have almost $17 million in the fund plus $4 million of art. So that gift that we were able to establish during my tenure will be one of the legacies that I'm the most proud of. It'll be something that generates new artwork into the collection on a regular basis and things that'll be here for generations to come, including some of the pieces that people are already their favorites that are in the collection, like the Kande Wiley. We also did things like this. This is a commission that I did with the artist Carl Unisch. This is a cabin that's out in the garden that's part stained glass, collected from glass from the community here in Tulsa. And if you've never been out to this, I invite you to go out and see this space. So it is a log cabin out into the campus that has these stained glass windows to it. It kind of has air conditioning, kind of has heat, does have Wi-Fi. But it's a great space that is open for people to use. We also did different types of experiments in the galleries, from having installations in the rotunda to doing exhibitions like Museum Confidential, where we talked about the process of what we do in exhibitions and the work that happens in museums. So things like, how do we curate a show? Or telling different stories about things here. And from this, actually, we created a podcast that Jeff Martin hosts that's called Museum Confidential. That's a nationally known podcast that has continued since in the years, and it's become another way that Philbrook talks to people that will probably never step foot in Tulsa, but know about us through that vehicle. We did shows like Hearts of Our People, which is a contemporary show of Native women's art. We did a show around the Tulsa Race Massacre, both in all the galleries and a show of photographs from Greenwood. And we did one of the shows that is one of my personal favorites of things that we did. We did a show called The Big Show. So during part of the pandemic, we put a call out to young artists here in Tulsa between the ages of basically 0 and 17 to create an artwork 12 inches or under and turn it in, and we got over 3,000 submissions, and we put every single one in the show. So our team framed 3,000 drawings and paintings. They'll never forgive me. And we put every single one of them up with the artist's name, their age, and the title of the work, and we created an app so the parents could come in and find where it was on the walls. And this wasn't in some hallway down the education space, it was in the main gallery. So we had all this artwork up, we had a room where you could draw on the floors and the walls in the space. And I know from this show, there'll be artists that'll become professional artists that this will be the very first show they ever had. We had little buttons that when the kids came in, they'd say future artists with the future crossed out. And this is, again, is one of the shows that I'm personally the most proud of that we did at the museum. We also did shows with acclaimed artists. We did a show with Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, one of the most attended shows ever had at the museum. And that extended beyond just the gallery into the gardens. We also did shows. We did a show from the Jocelyn Art Museum last year that had Rembrandt and Monet and all these European masters in the show. And there's also this whole kind of range of experiences that you can have at the museum. So if you want to have a more traditional experience and have that contemplative experience in the galleries, you can. If you want to have that experience walking through the gardens on your lunch break, you can. If you want to bring all your friends and come for a big party, you can do that too. Have all those different types of experiences. And being leaders in our community and being recognized as such. So things like the Victory Garden, which Jesse mentioned. So this is something that we put in place that we've expanded over the years that produces produce for the food bank. Right now it's on pause because we're working on a construction project, but I anticipate that it will come back. We also did things like became a polling place for the neighborhood. We did the teacher membership program, and it's still to date, and that was early in my tenure. Every public school teacher in Oklahoma can have a free membership at Philbrook. They just have to walk in and ask for it, and continue that going forward. And we also do naturalization ceremonies at the museum. So instead of the courthouse, they happen at Philbrook, and instead of taking the photos out in front, they can have their photos in the garden at the museum. It has been a wonderful time to be able to not only have the opportunity to be at Philbrook, and I'm somebody I never thought I'd find myself as a museum director. I know going into college, I'm not sure what I thought I was going to be, and I got an art degree and kind of found my way to this, and I've worked a lot of odd jobs over the years. And I was just talking yesterday to one of my bosses. I worked at a sports memorabilia store for 2 years, and I still today think that's where I learned the most about dealing with donors, is dealing with people with their autographs that aren't real. So a lot of things you can learn from jobs, and bartending, being a barista, all those things. Learning from these things is so much of it is about people, and how do you connect with people and create a hub around that. So going forward, Philbrook's got some really exciting things happening. This fall, there's going to be an exhibit that's really going to be talking about the history of America through artists from the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts collection. You can see some of the names here, iconic artists, including some works that you know when you see them, like, oh, I know that piece. George Washington, for example. George O'Keeffe will be in the show. Winslow Homer. Definitely something to put on your calendars to come and see. We're also starting a new construction project. So this is going to be breaking ground. We've had the official groundbreaking, but will actually physically be, work has already started out here. This is the Tandy Pavilion that will open next year, at the end of next year. There'll be a hub for activity out in the gardens, including classes and programs, rental events. You could have this meeting there, for example. We'll be out in that space, and that'll open, and it'll be a revenue generator for the museum and a hub for the activities in the gardens. And I'm really proud to be able to raise the money for this, but also have this be able to kick off. So as I kind of depart onto the next adventure, it's always bittersweet kind of leaving places, and I'm excited for the opportunity that I have to lead the Seattle Art Museum, which is about 4 times larger than Philbrook, so it'll be a bit of a challenge for myself, but also I'm excited for that challenge going forward. But I will always have a piece of me that is here in Tulsa, and one of the things that I am the most confident in is the work that we've done over this past 8 years will continue on. It'll continue on in the work here in the community, the people that are here, and that foundation that we've laid. So this is one of my favorite quotes that I got during one of our surveys. I don't like museums, but I love coming here. That, I want that. That's the room. If we can reach over and cross over to that audience. So in closing, my last thing I'll say is that for Tulsa, partner. All these networks, we were just talking up here how small town this is at times, and that's a real asset. Partner and collaborate with one another, and we're stronger the more that we work together, and that can be the nonprofit community and the for-profit community, the more that we can bring people together and work to that same goal. Take risks, be willing to do that. That's partly some of the biggest things that we've been able to accomplish have been things that take that leap, usually with a little bit of knowledge, but also a leap. And I think having fun is a big part of this too. So with that, thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Scott. That was a great presentation. I warned you all last week that I'd be talking a lot about Sandlot baseball. So here we are, right off the bat, my first full meeting. Here's a picture that we took just a couple of weeks ago. This is the Tulsa City Saturn Scott's team versus my team, the Tulsa Breeze, out at Reed Park. So I think one of the indelible marks, Scott, that you're going to leave in this town is the work we've done renovating that ballpark that is a public park open to anybody who wants to use it, even though we are the ones that usually play out there. But thank you, Scott. Again, your contributions to Tulsa through art, baseball, and everything else you've done is going to be remembered for a long, long time. A book recognizing today's program will be presented to our partner in education school, Celia Clinton Elementary. This week's book is Lost in the Museum. Upcoming programs next week, July 24th, Barry Trammell will be with us, sports writer formerly of the Oklahoman, now at the Tulsa World. July 31st is the 5th Wednesday of the month. We will not meet here. It'll be a Service Above Self Day. More on that in just a second. And August 7th, Julio Badin, Executive Director of the Gathering Place, will be with us. Now for some upcoming events, a couple of side mics. First from Shanna Vollmer, then from past President Tiffany Egdorf.
All right, Service Above Self Day, July 31st. You have two opportunities, one very fitting today, Celia Clinton. It's back to school time. So one of the options is Celia Clinton from 10 to 2. They're creating additional classrooms and they need our help. They're also setting up an art room. So, hey, come out 10 to 2. We understand you might not be able to be there the entire time. So come out for lunchtime, or if you can donate your time the entire time, that would be great as well. Another way to get involved with Celia and Clinton, because it's back to school, what we're asking members to do is to bring supplies next week to the guest table. That can include pens, pencils, spiral notebooks, crayons, markers. And if you don't want to go shopping, we'll go shopping for you. You can come by and donate, cash is king, or write a check. We'll be happy to give supplies to Celia Clinton and take it to when we visit. And I appreciate Ben Garrell, Karen Langdon for helping me, Sarah Stokely, and Kevin Murray for getting this put together for these organizations. The second option is Catholic Charities. We just need a small group, 5 to 6. I think we've already got 3 signed up, so we need a few more to sign up. And that email will come out from Tina, so you can register for Catholic for Charities on that same day. So 2 options, Celia Clinton, 10 to 2, and then also Catholic Charities from 11:30 to 1. Thanks.
Hello, it's me again. So you all know that our Anti-Human Trafficking Committee, I do think they may be renamed soon, but that committee has done incredible work this past year, but now is progressing and is starting to partner with other clubs in our district, and will soon be going to zone to partner even further out. So on Saturday, July the 27th, the Rotary Club of Siloam Springs, along with our club, is hosting a fundraiser called Tacos for a Cause. So all you have to do is show up to Studio 308, which is just that way, in downtown. Bring your $5, or if you want more than one lunch, bring 10 or 15. But come and join us. We're going to have folks there that can talk to you about the efforts of our committee, but also what's going on within Rotary and the anti-human trafficking efforts, and some other great folks just to meet. So July 27th, Saturday, 10 to 2, Studio 308. Bring your cash, and we'll feed you some delicious tacos. Thank you.
And now, everyone, it's time for our first Sarge time of the Rotary year with your Sarge, Derek Frazier. Derek is a Tulsa native and a graduate of Bixby High School. He earned a journalism degree from OU in 2004, but found his passion in the nonprofit world. From 2006 to 2013, he served a number of nonprofit and fundraising roles in Northwest Indiana for organizations serving children and adults with developmental disabilities, food insecurity, and affordable substance abuse treatment and recovery programs. In November of 2018, Derek returned home to Tulsa with his family to serve in a fundraising role for Parkside Psychiatric Hospital and Clinic. In addition to all of his great nonprofit work, his greatest accomplishment is serving as dad to his 8-year-old daughter, Camille, and his wife, Lori. Please welcome your 2024 to 2025 Sergeant at Arms, Derek Frazier. Wait, where are you? Wasn't he right over there? Where'd you go, Derek? Oh, there you are. All right. Come on down.
Coming to you live from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and filmed in front of a live studio audience. It's the Price is Rotary! And here's your host, Sarge Barker!
What a beautiful audience. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You know, when my executive producer, Daniel, told me to come from sunny Burbank, California, to sunny Fry an Egg on the Pavement, Tulsa, I said, yes, absolutely. I said, but only if I could play The Price is Rotary with this lovely audience here today. So I'm so happy that we get to be part of this. And to take a look, let's see here. Oh, up. There we go. We're getting used to this. We have Shanna Volmer. Shanna Volmer at $52. Shanna, can you stand up, please, for me? All right. Now, audience, for your first trivia question. When asked why Shanna donated exactly $52 for her birthday, she responded, A, it's just what I found in the couch cushions. B, I'm really 32. I'm just a big tipper. C, a lady never tells. Or D, keep guessing, sucker. Which one was it?
C.
It was C. All right. Okay. And happy birthday, Philip Viles. Philip, can you stand up for me, please? Happy birthday, Philip. Now, notice that I did not correlate his age with his donation. So I'm getting smarter at this. All right. Rachel Richardson, are you here today? Can you stand up if you are? All right. Well, someone made an anonymous contribution on her behalf, so happy birthday, Rachel. And Jerry Stamper. Jerry, can you stand up for me? Oh, wow. A birthday with his grandsons, Luke and Heath. Aren't they adorable? And then also a 40th wedding anniversary. For your next trivia question. After 40 years of marriage, what did Jerry say was the secret to a long-lasting relationship? Was it A, selective hearing? B, 2 televisions, 2 remotes. C, understanding that fine never means fine. Or D, all of the above.
All of the above plus some.
All right, now this is a group answer. What is the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation? Is it A, not sure, it's one of those great mysteries of life? B, it's the ultimate funding machine for making Tulsa and the world a better place. C, it's like Rotary's ATM for kindness and generosity. Or D, it's answers B, C, and a whole lot more. I'll tell you the truth. Here's the real answer, and I'm going to let you read this on the screen. But the truth is that when you go back home, when you go back to your job, and someone asks you, hey, tell me about the Rotary Club, and you're ready to brag about all that we do, it's because of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Camp Enterprise, Partners Education, Celia Clinton, the Crescendo Music Awards, all the nonprofits that we support, it is because of the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation. But we can't do this on our own. We need your help. So every once in a while, we will be playing Price is Rotary games. Can I get an applause for that? Woo! And I'm excited to announce that next week, we will be playing the shell game. If you've ever seen The Price is Right and you've seen the shell game played, we will have one lucky contestant drawn to play the shell game. But here's the catch. You have to be a donor to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation to play. So that means get out your phones right now. If you have a chance, this is the one moment you can get your phone out, or grab a pen, because there's many ways to donate, okay? You'll notice that there's pledge cards on your table. You may fill out a pledge card and just leave it on the table. We'll take it up later. Or you may grab your phone. You can even text to give. I'm sorry, we should have had that text number on there. But you can fill out the donation form, or you can scan the QR code. You can make a one-time donation, which means that you will be eligible to play for next week. But if you are a recurring monthly giver, you will be eligible to play for every Price's Rotary game that we play here at Rotary, and it will be a blast, let me guarantee you. So the more you give, the more you get to play. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to grab your phones and grab your pens. Can we have the music? There we go. All right, take a moment now, look at your, feel free to give whatever you feel comfortable. Fun fact, the average Rotarian writes faster when there's Jeopardy music playing. I want all of you to get an opportunity to play next week. All right. Thank you very much. Now, if you have a Sarge Barker fine, we're still doing fine, so please feel free to contact my producers, Derek and Jerry. They're doing a great work, so please give them a hand. Thank you very much.
Did I tell you guys you wouldn't want to miss that last week? That's going to be so much fun. Thank you, Derek, for your energy, and as a past Sarge, thank you for showing me and everybody else up. It's going to be such a terrific year. Thank you, Derek, so much. Special thanks to this week's gold sponsors, We Be Trees, Tim Knoll, Max Electric Supply, Jack McGlumphy, Coldwell Banker Select, Sheree Gardner, OK Ethics, Mary Lytle. To this week's silver sponsors, Associated Mortgage Corporation, past president Chuck Wilson, Bank First, past president Paul Baumann and Bill Miller, Clear Ridge LLC, Matthew Bristow, Southern Millwork, Bill Vogel. And to this week's bronze sponsors, Hall Estel, Tom Klenda and Daniel Ketchum, Hanson and Holmes, Richard Holmes, Hearts for Hearing, Kaylee Clark, Interim Healthcare, Terry Heritage. There are 2 committee meetings today upstairs following this meeting, Anti-Human Trafficking, room 231, and New Member Orientation, room 232. I hope that everyone here will greet our new members. They should be in the hallway. Get to know them, encourage them to get to join a committee, to get active, and to really hit the ground running with our club. Thanks again to Scott. Good luck to you and your family. And again, thank you for everything you've done for Tulsa. In closing, please remember, everybody, to share the magic of Rotary through service above self within our own club and in your day-to-day lives. We are adjourned.